Since the emergence of Nigeria's art, culture, and entertainment sector as a huge revenue-generating industry, the federal government is yet to fully tap into the endless potential it has. Apart from the oil and gas sector, the creative industry wealth has not been fully accounted for in the last decade, and it's the biggest in Africa. However, as the federal government plans to reveal plans to boost Nigeria's entertainment economy and transform it into Africa's creative, cultural, and entertainment capital, Nigeria's newly appointed Minister of Arts and Culture and Entertainment, Hannatu Musawa, says she will deliver a national strategy that supports President Bola Tinubu's plan to double the national economy to $1 trillion within 8 years. Musawa further noted that Nigeria sits at an inflection point where our global cultural impact is at an all-time high, combined with a new progressive administration, end of quote. The time is now to support talent, institutions, and the cultural power, entertainment, and creative economy. So joining us now on the morning show as we review arts, culture, and creative economy sector of Nigeria is Professor Sunday Ododo, General Manager, CEO, National Theatre of Nigeria, Charles Novia, filmmaker and CEO, Teen Africa TV, and Asika, Convener, the Omniverse. Great to have all of you here. I mean, I'm so excited this morning. There's a lot to start with. And I'll come to you, Mr. Asika, this morning. Part of the entertainment, and it's a conversation we've constantly had, is also preserving our history, documentation and archiving that can also be used to create a lot of wealth in the country. A lot has happened in this country, and I know you've got a rich resource of that historical archival material. How can we turn that to cash with also arts and entertainment that you play a major role in? Morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. Great question. First of all, I think we want to congratulate the president and the country on elevating the sector to a full ministry, because that's really, really important. And there's something you said I want to kick off with, which is about the fact that the creative economy, the creative industries, the cultural industries, and arts as well, are really about the IP of the people. And for me, the biggest asset Nigeria has is the Nigerian people. So if you begin from that premise, then you can understand where the opportunity lies. Talking about our history and our culture, we all know that we haven't documented and preserved our origins. And in fact, African history and Black history is an issue, and it's a problem. But I feel that one of the things that is happening is that technology, specifically AI, Web 3.0, and NFTs, give us the opportunity to preserve these things and bring them back to life in the modern age. People that know me know I talk about the difference between Shango and Thor. And I think that in itself speaks to the opportunity. We haven't touched Shango. Maybe he's broke somewhere outside Lagos. Thor's approaching $50 billion in revenue. We have to be able to reimagine our mythology, invest in our own narratives, and export our culture. What you're seeing with Afrobeats is taking our culture worldwide. Because it's not just the music, right? It's the fashion, it's the attitude, it's the personality, and it's the food. So I think Nigerian food is about to globalize massively, and we have this opportunity because of our diaspora. We're in 200 countries that we're able to connect. Nigerians actually have the thing that the Saudis are spending trillions of dollars to acquire, which is that natural talent and intent that people want to connect to. Hopefully with the new ministry, we'll begin to see that the government puts this stuff mainstream. I'm a firm believer that this sector, with the sector that refers communication technology, digital economy, and innovation, led by my good friend Bosun Tijani, these two sectors together can provide rocket fuel for this economy and move everybody forward.
I'd like to come to you, Mr. Charles Novia. You're a filmmaker. You are also in the music business. I remember your work with trying to, restore and resuscitate the career of Majek Fashek then with your November records. Right. And now you are also a media entrepreneur with your television station and all of that. I'd like to also bring this conversation down, talk about intellectual property and how even the receipts of our art and creativity can be domiciled here. It has never been domiciled here. Mm-hmm. And I'd say since the days where we had the EMI records of this world, the Decca records of this world, producing the likes of the Osondio Wendy's of this world, the money has always been shipped back abroad. And also now we have gone back to that era with distribution.
Right.
with all our artists signing distribution deal with the top artists and everything. So when they say we have a big artist shut down a concert in the UK, 100,000 people attend, that money does not come into the Nigeria economy. It goes to that distribution company and it makes, so when we shut down a big concert abroad, it makes the UK, America richer, not Nigeria. I mean, talk me through all of that.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here. And I think, dovetailing on what you just said, it has to do with what I'll call, is my own phrase, attitudinal tokenism by those policymakers in government. So there's that sort of perception that, oh, these artists, call it, very, very, very condescending, these artists, you know, what are they really doing? You know, but through the years, these same people have seen, with or without even any governmental support, and that's the individualism of the sector itself. The Nigerian spirit, the can-do Nigerian spirit that goes out there and says, is that impossible? We will do it. It has brought to the fore the potentials of the Nigerian narrative itself. We have the biggest soft power right now in the whole of the continent. Our music, our films, you know, our fashion, you know, they go out before us, they go on before us. Any serious government, as it were, or government institution, as it were, should be plugging in. We're not asking, give us money, no. Plug in to this renaissance, as it were, what we have seen. A Burna Boy is doing a show in the UK. Why is the Nigerian tourism ministry not there? Wizkid is having a show in Los Angeles. Why is there no stand? Why is the Nigerian government not there to say proudly Nigeria? You know, those are the subliminal narratives you put out there, so that everybody coming, 80,000 people coming, 70,000 people come to the concert, would see a Nigerian stand, proudly Nigeria, and say, okay, these guys are from Nigeria. The people, you know, those are the kind of supports we need, and then the Nigerian narrative begins to grow. In terms of the intellectual property, for what we really lack, you're right. In the past 4 or 5 years, foreign distribution labels, companies, you know, they've invested or they've been picking the talents. Most of the time, if you look at an average turnover, like in Burna Boy, I'm not saying it's good, the tax people should not, but then a Burna Boy would do maybe $1 million or $2 million or sell $10 million worth of streams. I can tell you that 90% of that money is in the US.
Yes. Yes.
It doesn't come to Nigeria.
That's the sad reality, yes.
And there's also what I call a very, very annoying, what I call the devil in the detail now. Any young artist who blows in quotes, becomes popular, has a big hit, shifts out of the country immediately. Is doing shows. We're not feeling much of that impact because the structure, I'm sure Obi will talk about that, but the structures for supporting those artists within the touring systems, they're not here. We have Netflix also, Amazon coming in, investing into. So Nollywood is a little bit different because Nollywood is braggadocious, you know. So it's already, the platform is already there. But then there's a swoop of interest coming in right now, investing, and then part of that money also goes out. We're not. And those are the things that a new ministry or a new policy of the government would have to look at. Like I said, we're not asking for money. Just put the policies in place.
Have you spoken to Anatu since she got in?
No, I haven't. I think she just got in about a couple of weeks ago. But I think I was a little bit disappointed in one of her first statements she made when she said, I don't know if it's true, but I read something when she said, I read on the NTA Twitter handle, she said, we need a new song. So there should be a new Nigerian song and artists should come out and compose a new Nigerian song. And I felt, what's that all about? What's that about? So we might have a square peg in a round hole and it will take time for her to get used to it. But then that is not what we need now. We need to have policy discussions with people in the industry and then we'll set the agenda right for her.
Okay.
I mean, thank you so much for saying that, and that's why we're having this conversation. Even though we might have, in your words, square peg in a round hole, an opportunity for us to hopefully inform our decisions going forward will be quite great. I'll come to Professor Ododo now, and I'd like to talk about one of the things which the new minister had actually said upon her swearing-in, which was using the culture and culture industry or culture, using culture in entertainment as a tool for national unity. We've seen this happen in the past. We've seen this even used as a tool for positive, I could put it that way, propaganda. I remember the song, Let's Live Together, we can be as one. We know movies that shape mindsets and shape, in fact, many people abroad, when you listen to many of them that watch the old Nollywood, they say they think all mothers-in-law in Nigeria are evil and wicked. They think that there's a lot of jazz that we use here, and this impression is formed from our movies. And in the same way that is such a powerful tool for shaping mindsets, it can also be used to shape a positive mindset in terms of Nigeria as an investment destination or as a tourism destination. So I'd like you to speak more about that with regards to how can we use this as a tool to bring us together as a people and also to push us in a brighter light to the world, to the international world. And following that, I'll come to Obi, Mr. Asika, to respond to that question around structures. Great points made by Mr. Novia with regards to what are the enabling structures to be put in place to ensure that we begin to tap into the resources, potential. Let's have tours in Nigeria. Let's have the monies that are being, moved outside of the shores of Nigeria to benefit our economy in terms of contributing to GDP. I'll start with you, Professor Ododo.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Arts, Culture, Entertainment, and Creative Economy is very clear that it's going to use our instruments in culture and entertainment to unify the country. I think this is very laudable. Yes, there might have been sloganeering in the past, but this time around, we have to give her a chance to see how she will turn this around. We believe that the entertainment industry has a lot that can be deployed to send some nationalistic ideas to all Nigerians to come together as one people and move with one goal to achieve a lot for the country. Of course, the foundation is already there, championed by Nollywood, for instance. I believe going forward, there will be a lot of government involvement in shaping the way stories, narratives are told with positive dimension for a global image. And this is very, very key to our own agenda to export the Nigerian identity positively to the world. Square peg in a round hole, I don't think I accept that. The new minister also has our own grounding in the creative community. And I'm sure she has a lot of leverage and outreach within that community too. This job is not for her alone. The creatives, the community will have to come together and rally around her own idea and see how we find all of this to get to that destination of artistic excellence, creative economy that's very robust, that will put food on the table for creatives, create more employment, and generate income. I think this is the right way to go.
Right, thank you. I just want to ask, just because you said, as you rightly mentioned, the creative economy is quite a broad term. I'd like you to break it down for our viewers this morning, because this ministry was carved out of the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism. So it's the first time we're going to be having a minister and a ministry for this particular industry. So can you tell us what would be under her remit? What are the areas or the key areas, and perhaps even general, that she'll be focusing on during her tenure?
Yes, the creative economy is very robust and it's contributing a lot to world global economy. And this is an area that Nigeria has potential and a lot to gain, but have been neglected or not well focused. Within the creative economy, it latches on imagination of individuals. You don't have to depend on the usual production resources, thinking of land, location, capital, all of that. Your imagination drives the idea that will create economy for other people creatively. Now, there are many areas within this sector. You talk about cuisines, talk about architecture, talk about film, talk about fashion, talk about even hairstyling. All these are within the creative economy. That idea that is unique and novel, that can bring together a people to key into your idea, and also to find value in the products you create and services.
All right. Thank you, Professor
The
Ododo.
Honourable Minister has not,
Yeah, I just want to move on very quickly to Mr. Asika. Please hold that thought. We'll come back to you shortly. But Mr. Asika, in terms of structures and enabling environments to allow this industry to thrive, what would be your recommendations?
Thanks for the hard question. I think, first of all, just to support what Prof was saying, the creative economy has about 24 sectors, right? And it goes from hair and beauty, fashion and music, arts and culture, performing arts, theatre, dance, a bunch of areas, software technology, advertising, broadcast. So the creative economy is enormous, and I'm really, really happy because I worked with a team of 40 professionals on the National Development Plan 2019 to 2021, and we did all the work we did was on tourism, hospitality, creative and culture industries. And it was the first time they were brought to the national level. So 2 years later to see a ministry, we're extremely happy. That's the first thing. I think in terms of infrastructure, we know we have 400 universities. We know we have 40 stadiums in major cities. But what needs to happen is these stadiums are old stadiums. Government has a lot of dead assets that government can concession, right? In terms of touring, and one thing I need to just correct, we're not exporting all the money. When you're touring internationally, you're generating money internationally. The money that is being exported from Nigeria is because we haven't built enough domestic platforms. So if you're on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Music and Netflix and Amazon, yes, some of the money is going out, but some of the money is also coming into the economy because without that investment, we can't create the product. What we need to see is to stimulate domestic investment, domestic capital from the banks and private investors and private equity and investment banks to build venues, build more production lots, build more opportunities and more facilities that enable the industry. And enabling the industry, it is endless, from art galleries to live venues, to stadiums, to performance spaces, to production lots. At the end of the day, this creative economy, this sector, has the opportunity by 2030 to deliver something like 10 billion jobs into this economy. They're not necessarily 9-to-5 jobs. A lot of them are gig jobs because people in the creative economy, once they've acquired the skills, you have to upskill the people from intuition to a skilled level. Once they're at a skilled level, they can work everywhere. They will work in their communities, in their villages, they work in the cities, they work in the towns. So the opportunity is enormous, and I think collaboration is the way forward. I'm sure the new minister will be collaborating with leaders in the sector, collaborating with other ministers, specifically the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, because I was part of the National Startup Act, and I can tell you there's a big push from that same team. We're working on a creative industry bill. Charles is here, he's aware. And I think all of these things, that we bring them together and work collaboratively, this sector has the rocket fuel that can actually explode Nigeria forward, because that's what we're looking at, and that's what needs to happen. The strongest part of Nigeria is the Nigerian people. And once we understand that, then we understand the importance of this sector, because this sector is all about the IP of the Nigerian people.
The rocket fuel to explode the country forward. I love it. Thank you so much, Mr. Asika. We need to go on a break now. When we come back, we have a lot more to discuss with regards to the review of the creative economy and just setting the agenda for the brand new Minister of Arts, Culture and Creative Economy. Stay tuned. It's still the morning show here on Arise News, and we're looking at the creative economy with our guest for today, Professor Sunday Ododo, General Manager, CEO, National Theatre of Nigeria, Charles Novia, filmmaker, CEO, Teen Africa TV, and Asika, Convener, the Omniverse.
Okay, let me come back to you, Obi. The creative sector, we know that there is a lot of money to be made there. Let me just ask you this point. You've answered the question in some ways, but I'd like a little bit more specificity in terms of what would be required, what will government need to do to empower someone like yourself and others who are in the sector to make it such that you can have tours for Wizkid, for Burna Boy, for Davido, anywhere in the world, because we know that the international tours they do now, they're organized by international agents and companies that run it in UK, in America, in Spain, and other places. If Nigerians have the capacity and empowerment to be able to organize these tours, it means that if you go to America and you sell out so many locations, and you go to O2 and it's sold out, it means that you will be in that position, sell out O2, make the show work, and bring the money back. What do we need to do for Nigerians to be able to do that kind of events?
Well, the funny thing is, it is Nigerians that are doing these tours right now. Okay, Afro Nation is owned by Nigerians. There's a Nigerian chap, Duke Concepts in New York, who's doing the Burna Boy tours. So they're working, and they're already Nigerians making these things and making money, but they're based internationally. There's a Ropo in London with Coco, who has been doing promotions for 15 years. Smade has been doing promotions for 15 years. He's partnered with the team at Event Horizon who produce Afro Nation, which is coming back to Nigeria. You're right in the sense that they're working with agencies like Live Nation, AEG, which are multi-billion-dollar companies, right? We haven't built that leverage of business in this country. They're bigger than all the Nigerian banks. So you have to first understand that. Then in Nigeria, what we should be talking about is the domestic touring opportunity. Wizkid hasn't toured Nigeria. Burna Boy hasn't toured Nigeria. David hasn't toured. P-Square have not toured Nigeria. Because in the model that we had before, it was brand promotion driven. Now it's about selling tickets. Can we sell tickets? Is the buying power there to buy the tickets? We will begin to see. Afro Nation is in Lagos this Christmas. It's a ticketed event. It's about delivering experience, because Nigerians have to have a positive experience from the shows they go to. You have a positive experience. At the elite level, Eco Hotel, all these places, yes. But we're talking about the other 99% of Nigerians being able to participate in the shows, come and experience it. And I think what you really need to see is, if that CIF fund in the central bank was actually available to promoters and producers, if you're actually investing in people that have infrastructure, there are sound companies in Nigeria that have a lot of equipment. There's sound and stage and live producers all over Nigeria, but they don't need you to come and do anything for them. What they need is access, right? If IP is collateral in Nigeria, as it is everywhere else, then Nollywood does not need anything beyond access to finance. Because in New York, in London, in Beijing, in France, the idea is what is funded. Silicon Valley, it is the idea that is funded. It is not the human being, it's not the human being's grandmother as collateral. And that's what a core problem we have in our banking system. We have to sort out IP as collateral. And IP translates across music, literature, film, art, and it will monetize that entire ecosystem. So to me, that's perhaps the most important thing I would love to see happen. And it's a conversation between the central bank, the bankers committee, and our new minister, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Digital Economy. Then think about the startup ecosystem in Nigeria, the tech ecosystem. We've done very well with fintech. We need to build more domestic platforms, right? You need to bring people online, because at the end of the day, we have over 1 billion followers of Nigerian soft power in social media. Easily 1 billion today. Guess what? We don't have product. We don't have merchandise. So the Nollywood superstars don't have product they're selling. The Afrobeats artists don't have. The footballers don't have. Where's the product? The product should be coming out of a place called Aba, because Aba has the manufacturing capacity. But we need the digital guys to come in and help with the platforms so we can actually deepen our economy. The biggest opportunity for all of these things is not global, it's local. So to answer your question, it is for our bankers and our financiers to become more adventurous, take risks, and invest in ideas. Ideas are what actually rule the future. We're already in the attention economy. We're already in the age of ideas. So it is not about, we need hard infrastructure, yes. We need power, yes. But it is the idea that goes from a seed to $1 billion. That is what it is.
Okay, well, Obi, thank you very much. I know that we will definitely take you up on that thing that is called ideas that the bankers have to support. Because I know for a fact that a number of people in the creative sector say that the banks don't really come to their aid. In fact, they don't want to bank on ideas. They want to bank on some products that they can see and be able to turn to money. But Prof, let me quickly come to you, Prof. What is it that we need to do? I know for a fact that Terra Culture, owned by a very good friend, Bolanle Austin Peters, every single time that she puts out a play at Terra Culture is sold out. What do we need to get the minister to do to guarantee that the National Theatre does the same thing, and 7 days a week? There is nothing stopping National Theatre from being able to run 7 days a week with one play or the other, one concert or the other, one event after the other, such that you have it open 24/7 every single month of the year. What will the minister need to do to empower you to make the theatre, the National Theatre, one place that people go to regularly? And I guess that also applies to the other people like Terra Culture, to make sure that they're not only doing shows during a specific season of the year, but rather 7 days a week. Nigerians want entertainment. Nigeria wants to be engaged. They want something to help them relax. Blood pressure is rising, especially with one minister saying that he will increase their blood pressure.
It will bring it down.
Yes.
And I can assure you.
Absolutely.
You are aware that National Theatre is undergoing massive revamping, and all the halls are shut down for now until the edifice is delivered, hopefully by the second quarter of next year. Of course, what is being done is to ensure that we have a responsive and accommodating National Theatre that can host any event in the world, that can host any production, and that can also internally generate its own entertainment products. When the National Theatre is ready, I can assure you that it will have activities all year round. Besides that, there are 4 hubs coming up within the National Theatre, and these hubs appeal to our youth ingenuity. Hubs in music, hub in IT, hub in fashion, and hub in film. These themselves will also generate a lot of interest, and to also equip our youth using their creative ingenuity to create more jobs and to even export. We just have to be patient. It's on the top agenda of the Honorable Minister to ensure that the renovation going to the National Theatre is completed expeditiously, so that the National Theatre can once again be open to artistic and entertainment activities. Thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to come to you first. Okay, we'll go to a quick commercial break. We'll come back and we'll talk some more. Welcome back to the show this morning. We're still talking about the creative sector right here on the Arise News Channel. Still the morning show. We've got very good guests to talk about this. So I'll come to Mr. Asika first, and I'll also ask this question across both onto other guests, Mr. Charles Novia and Prof. I'll come to you by asking this question. That, yeah, you talked about the fact that most of the money still comes back based on all of these sales and everything for entertainment content. But what about the one the foreigners are milking that we don't even know of because we've not made a lot of investment? I'll give you a particular instance. Today in the world, William Oyabo is deified. He's a god in electronic funk music. There are tribute bands around the world for William Onyeabor. In New York, purely, this is not even Afrobeat audience, white audience. They did several documentaries, come to document his stories, and they are doing his songs in performances, and they're cashing out around the world. The question is, why couldn't we be the ones to curate stories like this? Another instance will be the NTA, which is a treasure trove as we speak that is wasting away. Recently, they were looking for a particular episode of Dr. Doctor Who in the UK, if my memory serves me right. And they got that episode at NTA TV College Jos. Where are their archives? The likes of Chino Achebe's, Things Fall Apart, the likes of Ishoku, those are things that could be digitized and remastered and put into a solid archive. But sometimes you don't see it. Maybe it's wasting in the rain somewhere. And these are treasure trove worth billions as we speak. Maoga, what would you say about that? Let's start from there. I'll also bring that question to you, Mr. Charles Novia, and also to Prof.
I think the first thing is actually, you see, we don't have to look at things from a reductive side or from a negative side. It's actually celebration. William Onyeabor and a number of other of these Enugu musicians from the mid-70s and early 70s, their music was born again. That's what happened. And when music is discovered again, it now travels. So a lot of people don't know that some of these artists you mentioned, I'm even happy you mentioned William Onyeabor so we can talk about him. Some of these artists you mentioned, the Premier League licensed his song 2 years ago. Arsenal are using his song. What it means is the family are getting revenue and they're getting income from the publishing. Do you understand? And there's nothing wrong with that. What we're talking about is that locally, our global publishing, our global licensing, and our collection agencies are not working as efficiently to monetize domestically. Now, in order to monetize globally, you have to have the management and the opportunity and the communication to do that. So one of the things you really need to think about is, so in the first part of the question, globalization of our content is a positive. It is monetizing, and we don't have to look at it always as if we are losing. We are not losing by globalizing. What we can talk about is increasing domestic monetization, which I 100% agree with. In terms of NTA, and specifically NTA has an enormous opportunity. Charles knows that I talk about this all the time. I'm privileged to be on the Joint Industry Board, which is looking at measurement and audience measurement. Free-to-air television is by far the biggest opportunity for the video sector, for the Nollywood, anybody who makes visual content. As much as the streamers are here, in every single country, free-to-air television is bigger than the streamers. It's bigger than the cinema. So television in America is bigger than Hollywood. But Hollywood sounds sexier, so we focus on the sexy. But what you got to think about is our television market in Nigeria is maybe $300 million, okay? In Kenya and Ghana, it's bigger than us, which is ridiculous. Okay, South Africa is 4 times the size. We should be at about $3 billion in terms of the free-to-air television market. That is what needs to be unlocked, and it's measurements that unlocks it, because once advertisers can see what is happening and who is watching, the money's there in the advertising sector to back broadcast. But it's not about buildings, it's about content, which comes back to the issue about archiving. If you are able to digitize the content and bring it back to life by remakes, retelling the stories, or even look at it like this, right? William Onyeabor is just one of hundreds of thousands. We haven't told our stories, okay? There's literally no biopic on any Nigerian anywhere from any field. You can go and search. I'm not just talking Fela Kuti or former presidents. I'm not just talking politicians, sportsmen, athletes, beauty queens. It's cultural people, authors. We've done nothing in terms of that form of storytelling. We haven't engaged our mythology. We haven't engaged our history. So literally for me, we're still just beginning. And when you're just beginning, you don't need to be arrogant. You don't need to be shouting. Yes, our soft power is explosive. Yes, it's globalizing, but there's so much more to come. And that is where the opportunity is. What we want to see is more domestic investors supporting the Nigerian story, the Nigerian people, the Nigerian talent, because that is the opportunity. Because the truth of the matter is you can't be complaining about Netflix or Amazon or DSTV or anybody else, because that's exactly what they're doing. They're supporting the story. They're supporting the culture. They're investing in that. And when you invest, you're entitled to earn. So if we want to earn more, let's get more investment into the sector. Let's be intentional, as government has been intentional creating the ministry. Let's see some of the funds that come into the sector intentionally coming to producers.
Okay. Mr. Charles, Novia, to you, and Prof. too can take up that question if you want. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in terms of archival...
But I will have to pause you at some point because we'll have a break on 45, but...
Okay, so I think in terms of the archiving of our history, we're very poor at that. And I don't... That probably it has to do with our own... would I say our background as a nation, where we have fleeting memories of things and we don't store them, we don't put the narratives in the right memorabilia, or visual memorabilia. So I can tell you that I'm sure half of all those soap operas and great series we had back then in the days, they're all gone. They may not be in the National Library anymore, and for reasons I may not say right now, but I'll put it maybe in written form or an article or something. But even in the era where we are now, we have fleeting attention. If you're doing a biopic, and if you're doing...
Okay. So sorry, I'll pause you now. We'll go on a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some more.
Okay.
Keep it locked. All right, so let's go straight to welcome back on the show. We're still having this robust conversation on the entertainment sector. So, Mr. Charles Novia, I'm sure you've been able to articulate your idea. Prof, I'll come to you on this. What can we do, to make things better as regards to archiving? I mean, if you were to advise your boss, the minister, what would you say? What would be your opinion as regards this? Because even your national theatre, there are lots of archival materials that can bring money to this country. Documentations, for instance, of full episode of Festac 77. That's a good material that a lot of people will pay a lot to see. We don't have that mainstream.
You are right. I can assure you that all the materials for Festac 77 are very intact in CBAC. Very, very intact. Recently, 45 years of Festac was celebrated, and there was rich exhibition of these archival materials. The first thing to do is to take an inventory of what is already on ground, study them, and see how can deploy all of this to retell our story and to make them economically viable. I'm sure many of them will have to be digitized, and when this is done, this will be a lot of opening for commercial gains. Many people all over the world, especially storytellers, movie makers, will see the need to cash into many of these revelations that will be unveiled, because the stories of yesteryears have some connections with today and tomorrow. We have not seen the best of our art and culture. Even those who have consigned to past memory, see how relevance and place for our enrichment. Today, history is very, very important for marching into the future. And a lot of our history have been buried. We need to revive them. And this is what these archives are going to do.
Yes.
When they are all visited, documented, and retooled.
Okay.
The Honorable Minister, I'm very confident, is very mindful of all of this, because to pull us together as one entity in the creative industry, the culture sector, and to present a global brand will require all of this.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Ododo. I'm sure, you're going to play a critical role in this new ministry, being at the helm of affairs of a critical infrastructure in the culture space of Nigeria. I'd like to ask all three of you, in terms of quick wins, if you had 3 quick wins or wishes, especially representing the very broad creative economy, what would that be for the minister? And add to that, today is actually in London, Notting Hill Carnival, yesterday and today, end of August, every year. The whole of London, almost all roads lead to Notting Hill, and it brings together a number of parts of the creative economy. So there we can showcase Nigeria's fashion, we can showcase Nigeria's music, we can showcase Nigeria's food and different aspects. But we don't typically have a carnival culture that's sustainable. We had one in Calabar, but I think even that is now on shaky grounds. How can we tap into this? People travel to the Caribbean countries to experience the carnivals from around the world. So just to share a few things around this and how we can maximize this and showcase the creative economy. So for 3 of you, I'll start with Mr. Asika, move to Mr. Novia, and then go on to Professor Ododo in terms of your 3 key areas for the minister.
Yeah, first of all, I think the most important thing is to partner with the professionals. Collaboration is the only way to do this thing. You've got the leaders in theater, in arts, in the creative economy. Tourism can be driven by the creative economy because the storytelling can come out of Nollywood, come out of the sketch artists, come out of the comedians. Music is also storytelling. So that's one quick win, collaboration. And the key collaborations for that ministry would be with the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy and Innovation, and the Ministry of Finance. Because there is capital available, you can unlock the capital, and that will push through to the actual sector leaders and operators. The second thing is to remember about concessioning existing facilities that can be handed over to operators who could execute. Government is not going to be in a position to launch platforms on properties and festivals. They have to partner with the private sector, with people who do these things on a day-to-day, 24/7, every single day of the year, to create those festivals, those cultural experiences, and those events that will actually be now gain support from government. And as Charles said, it's not so much about money, it's about enabling, right? So that's access, that's waivers, that's tax credits, the things that government can support you with. And another quick win, as well, is to think about it as a converged economy. There's something we're doing called the Omniverse. The heart of the Omniverse is bringing together the soft power of Nigeria with the power of our technology ecosystem. To say that together we can win and we can scale this country 10 times in terms of the economy. Because we have to have big ambitions, you have to set big targets. There's no point shooting small because then you might as well just go home. So you got to look for 10 million jobs in this sector in the next 4 years. Let's be ambitious. Let's go big. Training, skills is critical. So for me, number 3 would be training and skills. Let's put the skills in there because if you empower Nigerians, Nigerians will earn. They will work and earn. And in a gig economy, which I think is where we all have to go, Nigerians will dominate, both locally and regionally and globally.
Thank you very much, Mr. Novia.
Right. I think the minister would have to understand first and foremost that the creative industry is full of mad people. And yes, creatives are not normal. So I remember a song by Seal from his 1999 album, Crazy. It says, you got to be a little bit crazy to survive. So if you want to enter into the industry and check our policies out from the mind of a technocrat who's all, from an outsider, you will not get it. You will see a lot of crazy people. You will hear a lot of crazy things, but you must be able to distill, there must be a distillation of what you want to achieve and what you hear. I think for us, especially in the film industry, in Nollywood, we have been asking for a MOPICON, Movie Practitioners Council of Nigeria bill. That has gone to the National Assembly a few times, but it has been stunted. We need like a regulator, just like you have the APCON, you have the NMA, because some of the deals we are getting from some of the streamers, the Netflixes, the Primes and all that, they are not, if you compare them to what is given in other climes, they are not up to, and we are not speaking with one voice. So we need to start getting ourselves into a regulatory framework to begin to push for the right things for our own people. So the minister might help there in that regard. And lastly, the lines are blurred between arts, culture, creative economy, and tourism. Some of the things we are saying might also fall under tourism, and all that. So I think they have to do the delineation of the parastatals under those industries are very important. For instance, where would the Film Commission be? Would it be under arts and culture? or would it go under information, or would it go under tourism? So these are the things. But if you harness, I think there should also have been a coordinating economy for those three: the information, arts, culture, and tourism. But whatever the case, as I said earlier, and that was not meant to be a missive, a square peg in a round hole. She would take time. She would have to get some time to understand the industry, and also understand that the kind of people that you will meet. Sometimes we tend to bicker a lot. The industry, sometimes former ministers in this industry for culture information, they always hold their hands on their head when it comes to the industry and these people and their wahala. But you have to, like I said, be very clear and be focused on what you want to achieve, and then we will help to do what we can do.
Excellent point. Thank you so much. We've had such a great conversation, a robust conversation for a robust ministry, and we look forward to some of the suggestions and recommendations made today being taken forward by the Honorable Minister. And don't forget the key advice given by Mr. Novia, that they're a bunch of crazy people. So get ready. And since we fall under the creative economy, I guess Rufai and Kay.
Yes.
Did you hear what Mr. Novia
I'm mad.
said?
Absolutely.
I'm very mad. I'm
sector.
making a difference. I'm mad. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Thank you, Professor Sunday Ododo. Thank you, Mr. Asika. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles Novia, for your take on today's conversation.